Howdy, folks, and welcome to the show. My name's Cary Nightingale, and with me, as always, is my trusty sidekick, Kevin Nebrich. Kevo, how you doing?
I'm doing great, sir. How are you?
Wonderful, thanks for asking, and I hope you're excited, because today we're going to apply the old walk, don't run adage to music. That's right, it's time for us to explore songs with vocalists who speak, don't sing. So, Kev, when you're done having your cake, and eating it too, why don't you tell us about the song you found?
Short Skirt, Long Jacket is the first single off of Cake's fourth studio album, Comfort Eagle, released in 2001. This song begins with a warm, 2-bar trumpet crescendo that is subsequently interrupted by a hard buzz on the vibroslap. A catchy bassline groove and a steady backbeat on the drums, paired with a spoken word vocal delivery and plenty of present tense verbs, provides me with a sense of movement. More specifically, this song feels to me like a strut, which is very fitting as the narrator proceeds to describe a woman who, by all accounts, sounds like she is absolutely crushing it. Whether or not the narrator can measure up is left unspoken. The lyrics are still contentious among audiences nearly 20 years later. Some listeners hearing an anthem for the strong, independent woman, and others hearing an impractical, idealistic male fantasy. Cake frontman and songwriter John McCrae said in a 2010 interview that this song is about prosperity and depression, and says he was writing about humans and how strange our behavior is. What I love about this song is that it describes the subject very specifically in terms of their fashion sense and their personality, but we are given absolutely no physical characteristics. McCrae utilizes a loosely adhered to rhyme scheme in this song, with few near rhymes and fewer actual rhymes, but recites each line with a particular emphasis on the rhythm with which it is delivered. He also uses the powerful rhetorical device anaphora, deliberately emphasizing statements by repeating a sequence of words at the beginning of neighboring clauses. Whether or not you're aware of it, you are already very familiar with anaphora. A prime example is Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, which is extremely powerful and memorable, in part due to this technique. Despite its ambiguous message, I feel very confident giving this song a tune score of 7.5 out of 10. Cary, listen to the song and tell me why I'm wrong.
I'd be happy to. Give me just a moment and I'll be right back. And I'm back. Kev, I have to be honest with you here. I would rate this song, Short Skirt, Long Jacket, a little closer to a 6.1 out of 10. But I can see why you rated it. It does feature a vibroslap. So since this was your selection, your rating of 7.5 for the tune score will stand as the official Sound Appraiser rating. That's okay. But I think the spoken word song that you brought is much more heavily focused on the rhythm aspect of the vocal delivery. The one that I brought is more about the lyrics that are being delivered and the story being told. And now that I think about it, I probably should have gone first because you know what they say, Tom waits for no man. The drunken waltz that is Circus features a surprisingly even tempo and rhythm and some pretty melodic lines on the clarinet, but the star of the show is its ringleader, Tom Waits, and his showman's sense of spinning a yarn and detailing the mundane in a way that makes it extraordinary. Had he only described the characters with their ridiculous acts and more ridiculous names, I would have been entertained enough. But, like with most entertaining things, once you seek past the surface, you really begin to see the seedy underbelly. In this circus, it's a combination of the enhanced danger that comes from someone who is well practiced at controlling danger, the knife-throwing funeral wells, and the cycle of domestic abuse it can perpetuate. My favorite lines, however, involve the tattoo. She drew a rickety heart and a bent arrow, and it hurt like hell. While every line is designed and delivered in a way that's very easy to crisply imagine the scene, I find just a hint of mystery in "it hurt like hell." Is it simply a report on the pain of getting inked? Or is it a script included in the tattoo to further comment on the love memorialized therein? Or is it both, as I like to imagine it? In this live recording, Tom's voice sounds more scratchy and fatigued than the deep rumble we get in the studio version, the one that's reminiscent of driving a wheelbarrow over a bumpy dirt road. I suspect that this vocal alteration, like most of the narrative asides and clarifications found in this live version that are absent from the official recording, that it's entirely purposeful and entirely effective. Now, as a rule, I try to review the most official version of a song whenever possibly, and I generally eschew concert versions. But this one is not only excellent in its own right, but necessary. The official version from the album Real Gone can be found in 2 different YouTube videos. One is the mix I'm most familiar with, but it cuts off the last 20-odd seconds. The other is on Tom Waits' channel, but it seems to have been remastered, or in this case, demastered, because the vocal is so loud in the mix that the backing instrumentation is very difficult to hear, and it's also got a weird squeaking noise throughout. I was frankly shocked that those were the only versions available on YouTube, especially since this is such a rich narrative that it could serve as a perfect showcase for a talented animator or short film director who would do the story justice. For now, I'll settle for the visuals I've created in my own imagination for subsequent listens of this outstanding yet underappreciated track, and there will be many subsequent listens. I rated Circus at an 8.4 out of 10 on the TuneScore scale, but Kev, I would love for you to slap on your headphones, give it a spin, and come back. Let us know what you thought.
Sounds great. Let's do it. Okay, I'm back.
So, Kev, what'd you think?
Amazing. Tom Waits is a character. The lyrics are amazing, and he even adds an affect to his voice here that sounds to me like the narrator's intoxicated, which is a fun little addition.
Something tells me that wasn't just an affect to his voice. Something tells me he's more of a method actor in that regard. But I'm really glad that you enjoyed it.
I did, thank you.
But that said, I think it's time for a short break. This one's brought to you by Visa, the Voice Immodulation Society of America. Voice immodulation is a rare disorder that affects literally tens of people in the U.S. alone. If these staggering statistics surprised you, you'll agree that raising awareness is absolutely critical. So when it comes to voice immodulation, don't be afraid to speak out. We'll be right back. Howdy, folks, and welcome back. I think this is a great opportunity for us to talk at a little more length about spoken word songs. The first question, naturally, is why would we choose to explore spoken songs when there's so much good singing out there? And for me, if I can be selfish, I wanted to review Circus because I've loved that song for a long time, and I wanted to go a little bit more deep in my analysis of it. Also, selfishly, I'm very limited in my singing ability, so if I'm going to do spoken vocals rather than sung, I wanted to explore how to do it right. But Kev, what is it about spoken word that appeals to you?
Well, I think what I love about spoken word songs is that they just stand out amongst all that good singing out there, as you put it. Songs are sung, and the ones that are not are immediately identifiably different.
So, Kev, you say that these spoken songs stand out, but are they outstanding? Are these songs powerful?
Well, I would argue that both of these songs are powerful in their own way. Although Cake's intended message was lost on me, I did get that strong sense of motion, and I enjoyed the song a great deal. And though it lacked a vocal melody, there was still a rhyme scheme and a vocal rhythm. It didn't depart too much from the norm. Circus, however, was a little bit different. Not only did Waits drop a vocal melody, but there's no rhyme scheme, which is exactly what you would want to do if you wanted more lyrical freedom.
Lyrical freedom? What the heck is that, Kev?
So I kind of made that up. But the idea in my head is that we kind of write in a box. The sides of that box limit which words we can use. So certain words have to rhyme in very specific places. Each line has a specific syllable count. The pool of acceptable words you can use to fit that structure is limited. And if you want to use a word outside that pool, you have to break your rhyme scheme or reword a phrase or rewrite an entire stanza. But by ditching the constraints altogether, you have access to a much larger pool of words. You can be more deliberate in which ones you choose to tell your story or paint your picture.
Ah, that makes an awful lot of sense. Now, obviously, Short Skirt Long Jacket didn't appeal as much to me because it's a rhythm song, it's a groove song. I didn't feel like there was anything added to it by having a spoken delivery rather than a sung delivery. Circus, though, I think is really powerful because it weaves such an image-rich narrative free of those constraints that you just mentioned, Kev. And it leaves the listener with no choice but to sit back and smell the orangutan shit. But this concept of lyrical freedom you brought up, Kev, I think that's leading into the next thing that I wanted to talk about. What lessons should aspiring songwriters take from spoken songs?
If you're not a singer or you don't think you're a singer, go a different way. Give us a speech. Tell us a tale.
Yeah, absolutely. You gain a lot of freedom away from melody, but you have to be careful because the bar is even higher for your lyrics. So I think it's important to make sure you have an intended and or intentional message wrapped in all of those lyrical devices, whether they're rhymes or anaphora or however you want to wrap that up. What else can you do? How can you get into character, Kev?
Well, I would say just, use all your senses to paint as detailed a picture as you can. And not just with your words, but with the instruments you choose and the notes that they're playing. If you're telling us a bittersweet tale of alcoholic circus folk, make the circus music in the background sound like we're disoriented and seeing double. Put us in the scene as much as possible as listeners.
I think those are words to live by, whether your front person of your band is going to be singing or speaking, or somewhere in between. But as always, we invite and encourage you to give a listen to the tracks we reviewed today. They're on our Tune Scored Tracks playlist on our YouTube channel. While you're there, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel and leave us a comment, letting us know what you thought of our scores and critiques. If you're an up-and-coming songwriter, it's also a great place to recommend one of your songs for a tune score and some good old-fashioned, honest feedback. We'd love to hear from you. We've had a lot of fun today, and we hope you did too. That's been Kevin Nebrich. I've been Cary Nightingale. We'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay sound.